there, welcome to the Upcycle Design Lab. My name's Cindy and I craft using recycled and repurposed materials. If you're new here, I hope you'll stick around and check out some of my other upcycling tutorials. And if you like what you see, you can check the subscribe button below any of my videos to become a subscriber. Also, if you'd like to be notified when I upload new videos, be sure to check the bell icon as well. So, if you've seen some of my other videos, you might know that we have 4 dogs, and the youngest ones are about 2.5 years old now. So they've finally kind of gotten a little past some of their chewing and digging and puppy habits. And so I'm determined to have a pretty yard this year. And to that end, I've been kind of looking around and getting ideas for different gardening ideas. And I've really wanted to make one of those little fairy lights that you know, it has the pitcher and then the lights come pouring out of the water pitcher. And I thought it was going to be a really simple project. So I had an old watering can, and my idea was just to put it, buy one of those shepherd's hooks and then put that in the big planter that I have and hook up the lights and the watering can, and it was just going to be super easy. But once I got everything kind of put together a little bit, I discovered that the watering can was way too big for the pot that I had, and it looked kind of plain and boring. So I scrounged around my garage, found a bunch of other little planters that I could use, and kind of did a mock-up and rearranged everything until I had it kind of the way I liked it. And I was planning to paint the watering can anyway, so I did go ahead and spray paint that gray, and I painted a couple other things with some black spray paint, and then you know, bought a bunch of flowers, planted all the flowers, and now it's time to kind of progress and figure out how to put the watering can and the fairy lights together. All right, so these are the little fairy lights that I bought. They have a little stake, you know, for the solar panel, and actually it's pretty dark here. It's been cloudy and rainy all day, so I think if I turn this around, these lights might come on just because the sensor, oh yeah, let's see. Anyway, I bought 75 or 72 feet, I think is what I ended up getting. You can get them in all different kinds of lengths, and you can get more than one if you want to, but this was 72 feet for about $11 plus shipping or whatever, and I will put the link to that in the description box of the video here. But as I'm thinking about this, wiring 72 feet through my pitcher up and down to make it look like it's sprinkling out of the pitcher is going to be a little tricky, because this is really long and I want to be able to string it up and down. So that's the first problem. The second problem is that my water pitcher, you can see it's rather large, and I don't have the end to it anymore, which I don't think I would have been able to use anyway. The sprinkler part of it has come off. So to hang my pitcher up, I've just done a couple of beading loops. I'm going to use a loop here and a loop on the back just to hook it to the shepherd's hook. So I've just done a little bit of beading to make it a little more decorative. So for this piece though, I'm not sure how to get everything strung through here. I want to drill a drain hole in the bottom so that the water, you know, water won't stay in there if it rains or anything. But also, I think I need a way to get my hand up in here in the bottom, otherwise I'm not going to be able to string the lights through. So I think I'm going to end up either just cutting this bottom piece off and tucking it back in, or maybe just cutting a big hole in the bottom so that I can get the piece strung all the way through. Because it's just one big long piece, right? You have the solar panels, then you have the cord that goes to the lights, and I think it's just going to be a little bit complicated to work with. The other thing is that you need something to hold the string of lights up in the spout here. Like, what is this thing called? The spout. So I've just made this kind of goofy wire shape here out of some extra copper wire that I had. There's probably a bunch of different ways to do this, but I'm not explaining it very well, but I need the string lights to be able to loop through something so that they'll stay up, and then I'll put them down in the ground, kind of bury a little bit of it before I bring the strand back up, if that makes any sense. So I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to make this stay on the picture, but the other thing is I don't want to put it on there permanently, I don't think, because, you know, if you take your stuff in for the winter, I don't want this really complicated thing to take all of the lights back down, and, you know, so I'm hoping that I can wire them around this piece and then, or loop them around this piece and then kind of just snap it on here. I'll probably use some more beads, beaded wire to kind of decorate this ugly edge here. And then I'll have the ability to kind of just take this off and wind up the lights if I want to take the whole display in, or you know, move it or anything. Hopefully that made a little bit of sense. So I think my next step is to figure out the holes that I'm going to cut in the bottom of the picture so that I can feed all the lights through the spout here and have the solar panel piece coming out the bottom. All right, I don't know if you can hear it, but it's pouring down rain outside, so of course I'm tucked into my garage here. I think I can get a fair amount done without going out into the yard and trying to hook this up. But like I said, the first thing I want to do is drill. I think I'm going to drill just a couple small holes right here because it's going to tip right here. So this will be the low point where I want the water to drain out, just in case any gets in there. So I've already got a 3/32 drill bit in here, so I think that'll be just fine. And the only thing I always forget, when you're drilling holes, it's handy to have a center punch just to make the first mark so that you can, it helps the drill bit from slipping around. I don't know if it'll work on plastic very well, but it'll probably poke right through. I won't even need to drill. Now there we go. Usually it makes a little popping sound, but this will help kind of hold the drill where it's supposed to go. Yeah, that was super easy. I think I'm just going to make a couple more holes though. Not sure you can see the top of that. Hopefully. All right. All right. So now, I don't know. I think I want to try to cut right along here, maybe just halfway around so that I can push it up and get my hand in there, but so that it'll hopefully not have a big hole in the bottom. So let me think about how I'm going to do that. So I've decided to use my trusty paring knife that I use for cardboard crafts, and hopefully I'm not going to lose any fingers. What I like about this knife is it's got sort of a serrated edge, so you can kind of use it like a saw. So I'm going to try to stay right here in the fold or on this crease right here, so I can hopefully just sort of tuck it back in there and it won't have a huge hole. I'm having a little trouble following the exact line, but it's kind of awkward to hold upside down. All right, hopefully good. Oops. I go halfway around, it'll be fine to get my hand in there and to get the light strung through. And hopefully it won't. This will be kind of in the back, so hopefully it won't be super noticeable that I have this gap here. But that should be big enough to get everything through, I think. So for those of you who aren't familiar with the shepherd's hook, I'm going to show you a really crummy picture here since it's raining outside. But it just has a hook on the end, and then there's two kind of prongs at the bottom that shove into the dirt, and it stands up on its own that way, and you can hang things on it. Oops, that's out of focus. Anyway, the one I have is 74 inches tall, and so I'm just doing some really rough calculations here to try to figure out how many strands of lights I'm going to have coming out of my spout here. So I think I'm going to have about 14, just based on the length of my lights and the distance to the dirt or the flower pots themselves. So obviously you can see I got to rewind this because the lights are not going to go. This cardboard, well, I don't know, maybe I could get it through there if I folded it. Let's try that. So I need to give myself a little more wire to work with here. But like I said, this is kind of, maybe there's a simpler way to do this. If you've done it and you know of a much simpler way, I'd be happy to hear it. But as I started thinking about how the lights and everything was going to actually go through this picture, it got a little more confusing. So obviously I need to get the lights up through and out the spout, and I don't know if this is going to be pretty, no, that's going to be way too narrow to get them through. All right, I'm going to have to rewind all of this wire so that I can get one strand out this out of the spout here. All right. You definitely do not want 74 feet of this just loose. It's sort of fun that the lights are on right now. Apparently it's too dark in here. All right. Yeah, I don't know how to do this. Well, I guess maybe I'll just, yeah, I guess I'll feed it through and then wind it up after I get the end through. I might need a little more room for my hand here, I guess. All right. Here goes nothing. I mean, I guess it probably would have come out. Maybe I don't need to get my whole hand in there. Although I don't know where it is. Where are my lights? They should be out by now. Oh, there they are. Okay. All right, so I guess what I need to do is uncoil them, get them through the spout, and kind of wind this back up. All right, this might look like where I started, but I really have accomplished something. I basically just rewound this the opposite direction. So instead of having the loose end of the lights free, I have the end that's attached to the solar panel so that I can start wiring. And I think I'm going to go ahead and take it out to, it stopped raining, so I'm going to take it out to the garden area and try to kind of start wiring it and get a feel for how this is going to work. So here I am using the beaded loop to hang the watering can, and then I have another piece of beaded wire to secure the back of the watering can to the shepherd's hook. Next, I made a spot for the solar panel piece at the bottom of the shepherd's hook. So I'm tucking the wire behind the watering can and then putting the solar panel in place. And after that was done, I was ready to start uncoiling the lights and securing them in place. So I think I might have a system that works here. For the spout end, I'm just going to wrap the wire around my little spider legs here. And then I have these garden stakes that I'm using to hold the lights into the planter themselves. So I'm going to try and string one more strand here. Once I got started, it was actually pretty easy to do. So I started in the first planter and then moved across it toward the next planter. And my coat pocket was very helpful to hold the coiled wire so that I could use both hands to straighten out the wire. So I straightened out some of it, but mostly I just kind of let it hang kind of loosely before using the garden spikes to hold the lights into the dirt. I didn't push the spikes in all the way just in case I decided to move one of the wires, but my plan is to go back and cover them up. My funny little wire cap worked really well, and I'm not sure how I would have been able to string the lights if I hadn't been able to take it off and put it back on as I was working through the project. So like I said, I just kind of worked from one pot over to the next, trying to not to tangle the wires up too much. And to finish off the end, I totally took the lazy route. I just tucked the loose end behind one of the planter pots. So here's a little closer look at the beaded wiring that I did. You can see everything is very wet here. My newly planted flowers are loving all the rain we're getting, but I'm ready for some sunshine. Anyway, I decided not to do anything with the spout part of this picture because the wiring that I did is holding pretty well, and I just don't want to mess with it because I've got everything kind of in place. So I've decided just to leave the spout the way it is. I'm hoping to get some video of the lighted display, but this is what it looks like during the day. So that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, be sure to check the subscribe box below this video. If you have any comments or questions, I'd love to hear them. Please leave them in the comment section below, and I hope to see you back here soon in the lab.